It's me, Brianna, and you're listening to Are We Caught Up Yet? Marvel Edition. I am joined by my friend and co host, Sam, today. Everybody's shocked, surprised that Sam is the person that's with me today. Rounds of applause. Everybody's screaming in the crowd. Okay. You can find us on youtube.com/SaveTheGameMedia and podcast services. If you want to show Save the Game Media some extra love and get early access to all of our content, you can find us at patreon.com/SaveTheGameMedia. Before we get started on our review of Thor Ragnarok, how are you and what have you been watching?
I am well. I am tired. The usual. For differing reasons this time, but it's the same end result. What have I been watching? Nothing.
Literally
Outside,
nothing at all.
outside of the one episode of Loki that came out between last recording and this one. Besides that, nothing. Loki still good as always, as you would expect. Not you, if people are watching it because you don't know whether it's good or not yet, except for the fact that I just said that it was good. So, still happy with it. Finale this Friday, same day that
That's exciting.
the Marvels comes out. So I'll have my double dose of Marvel on Friday.
Is it just going to be a huge injection of just pure joy?
I don't know how the Marvel is going to turn out, but I think it's going to be good. I hope so. I like the first Captain Marvel, so spoilers. So time will tell. But I have moderate to somewhat high hopes. Also, I'm not a shill for this. I am a shill for this franchise, but I'm willing to criticize it where it needs to be criticized. But I am at the same time, because of my diehard investment and how I care for a lot of these characters, I am willing to brace through a lot of rough seas to get to the calm waters on the other side. So have some of the projects in the past couple of years not quite been hitting all the time? Yes. But they're still building things, they're still adding in interesting people. So I'm willing to overlook some of the less stellar sections, unless it's like a Thor Dark World, then that doesn't get a pass. But other than that, I'm willing to keep going. And keep going we shall.
Okay.
What about you? How are you? And what have you been watching?
I'm doing well. Nothing too crazy. Everything considered. So I've been watching. Well, so between last time we recorded and today, Halloween happened. So obviously you have to watch spooky films, right?
Not
It's a
really.
law. It's a law.
No.
Yeah, it is.
No.
It's written.
No.
Sam, it's not my fault if you break the law.
Yeah. It's my own volition. I'm sorry. I'm going to jail tomorrow.
It's true. Halloween jail. So on Halloween, I watched the new Haunted Mansion. The night before, I watched half of the movie Us. And I still have to finish that.
Damn. So you just still have no idea what that film is actually about?
No, I know what it's about. It's just I haven't finished it. I don't know how.
Well, if you haven't finished it, you don't know what the film's about.
Oh, have you seen that film?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The people in the red jumpsuits that are taking over the lives of other people.
Yeah.
And killing them. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got to the part where the lady claps and then they all run, and I was like, because it was like at that point, it was like already 10:30 at night or whatever, and I was like, if I keep watching this, I'm not gonna be able to sleep.
Wow, so I almost kind of spoiled it just then
I
because
knew
you really didn't get that far.
I did get that far, but not that far. But like
I mean,
far.
it's not that far into the film, really.
Well,
If
the
it,
film's really long.
but I mean, not really.
Yeah, it is.
It's a couple of hours.
That's a long time.
That's like the average length of a film. It's no longer than any other film. Listen,
Anyway.
I've just discovered that you stop films and then go back to them at a later date. Like that's the
Okay,
unforgivable sin. So
when you asked me, I realized I think I do that more than I watch a movie the whole way through.
that's disgusting.
I have a really hard time with movies. Like a really hard time with movies. I hate like it makes my skin crawl sitting and watching a movie. Like I can't. I can't.
But then you can probably like binge an anime or a
Yeah, I
show.
can. That okay, but that's the thing is like it like for some reason like my brain interprets like the little short breaks that you get from like one episode to the next or like watching the opening and stuff like that. Like those little short breaks, like my brain like it fixes everything for me. For example, like watching something like Steven Universe where it's like 10 it's like just over 10-minute episodes. Like my brain is just like that's like the best thing that I could ever do is just watch those really tiny episodes and then binge it for hours.
I can't stop you. So
I know you can't stop me. I do if I watch it with somebody else, I won't stop the movie unless it's like really like truly agonizing. So that's usually the way I have to watch movies is with somebody
I'm not
else.
mad. I'm just disappointed.
Are you surprised? Cuz I feel like it's in perfect form with my
I
character.
mean, yes and no. So I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I didn't see this coming as well. You know.
How many movies do you think I haven't finished? Cuz I
Um,
just
all of them
uh,
ever.
there's a lot of movies I haven't finished. That's
Yeah,
true. That's
yeah.
true. There's a movie that I watched that I wish I hadn't finished.
I
What is
mean,
that movie? I
yeah.
have to look it up because it was so terrible. I
You watch.
literally,
People
I
watch bad
wish,
films.
yeah. My dad was like, this movie's going to be so funny. And then we watched it. The Dead Don't Die. Did you watch
Mm,
that? Yeah, it's Adam Driver in it.
then no, I didn't watch that.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I think I
See,
was high when we were watching it too. And I don't think
where you
that
went
helped.
wrong is that you watched a film that had Adam Sandler in it.
Adam Sandler is usually pretty good. Was
Well, that explains some of your rankings here. Good lord, am I right?
I'm so lost. What's happening? I didn't say. I said Adam Driver is in it, not
Yeah,
Sandler.
I know. I'm joking.
Okay, I'm just making sure that I didn't
I'm
misspeak
joking.
because I.
There's a whole thing that Adam Driver isn't that good of an actor, even though he gets lots of praise.
I mean, he's cute enough. So like,
He's just got a weird face.
does he? I think he's kind of dorky, but like in a cute
Well,
way.
yeah, but that doesn't exclude him from having a weird face.
Does he? I mean, he looks pretty good in this picture.
But if you look at like the proportions of his face, he's got a very elongated face,
Middle section, yeah, yeah.
and like
I
his
get it.
nose is a slightly weird shape as well.
We have the same nose. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
You don't.
I just. Anyways,
Anyway,
so
he's
yeah.
a good actor. It's just a bit.
Okay. Okay. I don't. Haha.
That made
um,
it so much better.
I've also been watching an Apple TV Plus show, but I can't remember the name of it. So, Truth. what is that? Truth Be Told. I started watching the second season of that, and it's kind of meh, but I guess we'll see. Okay,
Whoa,
that's
whoa,
everything.
whoa, wait. At least tell me you've watched the first season.
No, why would I watch this? I'm just kidding. I
Don't do it
I did.
because I wouldn't put it past you.
That's fucked up. Listen, I watch and read things in chronological order as much as possible, or release order, depending on if it's like a huge thing with different release order.
Okay, I had to clarify.
In fact, I won't move on to something until I finish the first thing. That's why I haven't read Stephen King books, because I couldn't get past the first book.
Well, it also explains why you don't do anything, because you never finish anything either.
Yeah. Yeah. That checks
So,
out. That
yeah,
checks out.
can't move
Maybe.
on to the next thing because you never finish it. The thing before. I'm amazed that this series is still going on. To be honest, we're still here. You've managed
I'm
to
amazed that you haven't abandoned me.
finish however many how many films in is this?
This is 17.
Yeah, that's
I just need
that's an achievement.
structure. That's like the real thing is I need structure, because if it's like for like homework or some sort of job thing, then I'll do it.
Hmm. So this is a
Otherwise,
chore, is what you're saying.
no. I enjoy it, but I do need a reason to do something. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it unless I want
Okay,
to, which I don't usually want to do things.
fair, fair.
Listen, we've talked about how my brain works a lot, and it's very confusing for everyone involved.
I will not even slightly pretend to know.
Listen, all I want is just more Miguel. I'm very simple gal.
We might as well stop now because you aren't getting it.
It's what he's going to be in the third movie.
Even not in this. We're not doing them in this series.
No, we're not. But
So that's what I meant.
I mean, it's technically kind of part of it, because
What?
kind of.
Yeah, but it's not playing into any overarching narrative, is it?
Yeah,
It's
but
just
I
like a
think
wink and a nod.
genuinely not to like put our planning out in the wild, but I do think we should watch all three for review when the third one comes out. I think that would be fun.
Maybe, yeah.
And then we can get caught up on Spider-Verse, even though I'm hella caught up. Next week, by the way, I'm going to Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse specifically concert performed. They're gonna perform the movie live.
Hmm.
Live orchestra. I'm very excited about that. And I get to meet Christopher Paolini next Sunday, which is an author. Since I know you don't read books. I'm just kidding. I know you do. Okay. Sam's too tired today to deal with my BS. Have you heard of Christopher Paolini before?
No.
Have you heard of Aragon? Because there was an
Yes.
Aragon movie. Okay, yeah. So he's the author of Aragon. The next book in the Aragon series is coming out. I guess it's technically not the next book, but it's part of the world.
I see.
And there hasn't been a book out in like 20 years or something like that. Maybe a little bit less than that. But yeah, so he's doing a tour, and I'm going to go meet him. I'm going to go get my copy of Murtagh signed. Anyways, that's my plans for this next week.
Cool.
So general thoughts on Thor Ragnarok. I know you won't go first, even though I've asked you to every time.
Yeah.
But I don't know why you won't go first, but it's fine.
Because I've already seen it.
What does it have to do with telling you your general thoughts on the movie?
Because we're catching you up. So you're the one that realistically this is about.
No, it's mostly about you just talking.
Yeah, but I'm just here as a guiding light. This is your journey.
I would argue that I'm here to just sit and listen, and then you just tell everybody about the
Well,
movies.
you're here to ask questions,
Yeah, I do ask a lot of questions. Speaking of
which
which,
is fine.
I still have to ask you a Dark Souls question, but we can do that later. I have a question on the lore. Could I have Googled it at this point? Yes. Am I going to? No.
I mean, you're probably asking the wrong person because I don't know why you think I know Dark Souls lore.
I feel like you'll know just enough because I don't want like the full deep dive. But
You'll
we'll see. We'll see.
probably be disappointed.
My brain is about to go on so many tangents, so I'm going to have to redirect it here. General thoughts here on Thor Ragnarok. I thought it was a good movie. I would say it's like a solid like 7 out of 10. Like it feels like the definition of 7 out of 10 for me. Like there were some really really good moments, and then there were some moments that I was like, what's happening? Like not literally like I didn't understand what's happening, but like why are we here? And yeah, I would say it's solidly like a good movie.
Fair?
And a bunch of people didn't die. Well, I mean a bunch of people did, but not that we knew.
Yeah. I mean, quite a few people died in this film.
Yeah.
But
not that we knew.
I mean, we did know them, but
Like what, his friends?
yeah.
We didn't really know them that well.
What I mean, now you've changed what the statement was. Like we knew them. We might not have known them super well, but we knew
Okay,
them.
fine. I forgot about those people, to be honest.
Yeah.
Wait, where was the lady? I just realized she wasn't there.
No, she wasn't. Interesting, isn't it?
Wait, is that like a outside world thing or an inside world thing?
Uh, kind of both. There was a show called Agents of Shield, which I guess spoilers for that show if anybody cares. You know Phil Coulson, the guy who died in Avengers, that is like the catalyst for them regrouping.
Yeah.
They revived him in that show, claimed like he wasn't dead, and then he leads a team of agents that work for Shield and they solve crime and stuff. The actress that played Lady Sif showed up as Sif in that show.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that led the Marvel TV initiative at the time was like mortal enemies with Kevin Feige, who is the producer on all the films, the god of the MCU.
Okay.
So that was viewed as crossing enemy lines because there wasn't they were like technically set in obviously the same universe, but the films never acknowledged that show or any of the Marvel shows, TV shows, until they start doing the Disney Plus ones, which are canon. But like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Defenders, Agents of Shield, a couple of others that don't matter. They were all done not against Kevin's wishes, but like without his involvement, and he didn't really want them because they didn't come from him. He didn't want them to be essential to his story that he was telling, or that the shows could then shape what was happening down the line in terms of continuity. So he was like, we're just going to pretend they don't exist. So yeah, she crossed enemy lines to him, and therefore he decided for a time that she was just not going to be able to come back in any films.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What are your general thoughts on Thor Ragnarok?
Well, I think you're in the minority. Most people say this is the best Thor film by a country mile. I don't disagree, but I also don't agree. I do think it's probably pound for pound the best Thor film.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the best Thor film, but it's still like all the Thor films on my list are pretty low ranking.
But I famously will defend the first Thor film to the death. I think the reason, well, I think the film is great. I do think the film's great. I would probably give it, like, if I had to give it a number, maybe like an 8.5. I think the reason that people gravitate towards this film in particular is because it single-handedly, in like one fell swoop, completely revitalized Thor as a character. Completely redefined who and what he was, the kind of films, the kind of tone that he had as a character. Because I, you know, as I've said, and you have also said, I do like the Thor that is very fish out of water, Shakespearean, classical kind of brute oaf guy from the films before this. I do like that Thor a lot. I think it's more in line with what you would expect Thor from mythology if he was part of this universe to be. But with the MCU, it was clear for the majority of people that Thor as a character just wasn't really clicking. You know, they did what they did with the first Thor film, and then he had his moments in the Avengers films, which people liked and stuff. But outside of that, obviously, Dark World didn't work. So they thought, well, what are we possibly going to do? Because Ragnarok, as you said before you watched it, pretty famously, not a good thing. So it's like, well, what, we're going to have another dark and depressing Thor film that is just a bit of a bummer to watch and stuff. And then they brought Taika Waititi in to write and direct, or to direct with co-writers. So, yeah, I think people elevate this film slightly above where it should probably be, because it saved Thor as a character and breathed new life into him. But I still do think that it's a great film in general. I was much higher on it when it first came out, as I think most people were, because of how refreshing it was. Like, obviously the marketing showed what kind of film it was going to be, but even just seeing the film in its entirety was a shock to the system. So, yeah. Put it this way, it was so well received that Thor is, to this day, the only character who went beyond a trilogy. So, you know, like, the way that this film sets stuff up for Thor tonally and etc., it would be very strange if this was like the end of his trilogy and he got no more solo films from this point forward. So it sort of gave him a bit more runway to explore and do interesting things potentially as a character.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's our general thoughts. So we're just going to move right along here. Soundtrack. I'm actually going to say, like, I didn't like the soundtrack.
Damn.
It had its, like, the usual, like, I guess backtracking a little bit, where it felt like I didn't really, again, going back to, like, didn't even really, like, recognize, like, my brain didn't really pick up any of, like, the soundtrack music, and then, like, the random songs that they put in, I was like, this feels so weird. Like, I didn't like the way that they inserted the music. That feels like a Guardians thing, and this is not Guardians, and it was also done weirdly, in my opinion.
Interesting.
How do you feel about the soundtrack?
Probably the complete opposite. Like, yes, the whole original score doesn't have anything necessarily memorable to it, but that's because, again, they're completely redefining the character and the tone and everything. So it wouldn't have really made too much sense to stick with the kind of backtracking that they would have had in the prior Thor films. I typically like synth stuff when it's done correctly, and I feel like, yes, there's not necessarily like a super memorable track, but I enjoyed the synth stuff that was there, and the whole using licensed music. I don't know. I think if anybody else other than Taika Waititi directed this film, I might agree with you. But the fact that this is so much a Taika Waititi film, it works for me.
Okay.
You know, like it's obviously not even slightly comparable outside of sort of tone and humor to like a What We Do in the Shadows, but I could very easily see.
I need to watch that.
You haven't seen it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
I need
think
to watch that. That's
I
like a
think
huge one.
so. Have you seen anything of Taika Waititi's?
Yes, I have. I wanted to have a whole conversation about Taika Waititi. If you want to do that now, but
Sure.
yes, I've been watching Our Flag Means Death. I haven't seen all of season 2 yet, but that's Taika Waititi. Like, I think he does directing for that TV show as well as acting, and I love it. And I would say like I'm a pretty big like fangirl of him right now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's done a lot of stuff. What We Do in the Shadows is sort of, I mean, he co-wrote, directed, and starred in that, which is a very, very good comedy film.
So attractive, like it's not even.
And I think, well, I mean, the film got turned into a TV show, which I don't think he has as much involvement in, but I think he's still got executive producer or something.
Oh, I've seen the movie. I thought you were talking about the TV show.
No, yeah. Obviously, he's in. Taika Waititi's in that as one of the vampires.
I don't think I need to go back and watch that movie again because
he's the one who is in love with the old woman.
Oh, he's Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, because Flight of the Conchords is
so good.
Jermaine Clement, who was also in What We Do in the Shadows.
He was in a short film for What We Do in the Shadows as well, as the same character from 2005. And the movie doesn't come out until 2014.
Probably what they used as a bit of a pitching thing to get the film made.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, this was the thing that propelled him, really. He did do Boy in 2010, which is a good film, but Ragnarok was really the thing that skyrocketed him up. Since then, he's done Jojo Rabbit. He has worked on Reservation Dogs. Jojo Rabbit is yeah, Jojo Rabbit's great as well. He plays Hitler. That's not even a joke.
Does he keep his Australian accent?
Yeah, well,
I guess it's not Australian. It's
it's New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah.
He's sort of Maori.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, he plays. Well, technically, it's an imaginary version of Adolf Hitler. It's very difficult to explain. Jojo Rabbit is a good film. And then he's done Reservation Dogs, which is another comedy series, and Flag Means Death, obviously. He did do some directing on The Mandalorian as well for Star Wars, the Disney Plus show. And, you know, spoilers, I guess, but not really spoilers because it's not spoiling anything, but he comes back and directs the next Thor film. because this one did so well. So yeah, and obviously he's in Thor Ragnarok as well.
Yeah, he is. And
Yeah.
that's specifically really, I mean, I did want to talk about Taika Waititi because he's like really attractive and also funny and also like I just really like him. From Our Flag Means Death. Him with long hair. 11 out of 10. So no, I was gonna say I think, and by I think I mean I know easily, like his character Korg was my favorite in the whole movie. Like so easily. There are so many good moments with him, and I think that like I don't want to say like the movie would have been like terrible without Korg, but there were so many moments that I was like it was just I just really enjoyed his character and it was really funny.
Hi guys, my name is Cork.
Yeah. He's like, I'm kind of the leader here. It's so
Didn't print
funny.
off enough pamphlets for the revolution.
Honestly, I relate to that.
Yeah, piss off Ghost and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, like he's cool. He's fun. I've never been the biggest fan of him as a character, Korg.
What?
Yeah, like he just doesn't really do much.
I know, it's great.
He's nothing but comic relief, which is like it's fun, but it feels more self-insertive than I would like.
I
Like
thought it was good. I
he
enjoyed it.
he doesn't
Clearly.
contribute anything to the story.
I mean, the whole thing about the hammer where he's like, you had a pretty intimate relationship with this hammer.
The hammer rode you on your back. The hammer pulled you off. Ugh. No,
See,
I,
that added to it. That added to the plot.
no, it didn't. It's just a joke. Nobody learnt anything or grew from that interaction. It's just a joke, which is fine. Like it's funny, but he again, you take Korg out of this film, nothing about the plot changes. Nothing. Which is, if we're being like film schooly here, the definition of a bad character. If a character doesn't add anything to the plot or change it in any meaningful way, it's a bad character. Like I love Korg, he's funny. I appreciate him being there, but it's just like he doesn't really do much for me. Like he gets a giggle out of me, but I would much prefer if there was actually something of substance to his character. Which is, like
That's so
we,
mean.
but I mean, to
I
me, it's
get it. I
true.
get
I
it.
mean, we can
Yeah.
agree to disagree. And again, I'm not saying I don't like the character. I do. He's funny. I just wish he was more than that. And he's not. Like, obviously, Taika has always been in his projects that he's done prior to this, and he continues to do so after this. But a lot of the other times, his character actually like means something. Whereas it kind of felt like Taika is a bit of a comic, so wouldn't it be funny if he put himself in this thing? And what if he was like a dude made out of rocks, and he kept talking about how he was made out of rocks, which again was funny, but it's just unfortunate that even if there was just like one small scene where there was something that happened, like he could have saved Thor at one point, or but he doesn't.
He saved Loki.
What?
Yeah, he
Not
does.
really. Not really.
Yeah, he was stuck. And then he was like, we're going to get out of here on that big spaceship.
But again, that could have been any character. Like, why was it specifically Korg? There was no reason. It was just because they didn't want Korg to not be around anymore.
Fine.
But like, it's fine. You know, he's a funny
No, it's
character.
fine.
He's a good part of the Thor ensemble, shall we say? He's a good part of it.
He's my
Um,
favorite part of it.
I mean, to each their own. Um, I think you're severely undervaluing Meek, but you know, so that's fine. That's
Meek's the
also a
second.
joke because Meek is also not contributing anything to the plot. Um,
Dude, he's like, I felt guilty all day.
oh, it's all right, guys. He's alive.
That felt like very much a Monty Python moment.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
That's good.
Meek, no, he's dead. I've been just been carrying him around all day because I've been being guilty. Um, yeah, no, I don't really think I have anything else to say about Taika. I'm glad, like, not in terms of his involvement in the film itself, but like, I'm obviously glad that he directed it and that he injected his personal brand of banana flavored stupid into this thing because as much as I liked again Thor of old, he wasn't connecting with audiences, and I certainly didn't want him to be killed off or be relegated to a supporting character.
Yeah.
So,
Um, you have seen Our Flag Means Death, like season 1, right?
mm-hmm.
Okay. That's good. That's it. I was just asking.
Yeah, I
All
have.
right. Well, next on our little list, by our I mean mine, because you don't have access to this document.
No,
Um, I mean I could share it if you really want, but it's
no,
not
it's
exciting.
fine.
Bechdel test does not pass.
Mm.
Yeah, doesn't pass.
I mean, there's
Um,
only like one female, well, I guess two female
two.
characters, and they certainly wouldn't talk to each other. So, yeah,
Next. Okay, this is where we like wait. Through line. Stan Lee's moment. I don't I didn't think it was a bad moment, but like why did they cut his hair? I'm really upset. I'm still
I
upset.
mean,
I'm gonna be upset for a long time.
you're in the extreme minority in that department because his makeover in this film is like universally beloved. So,
That's crazy.
yeah,
That's absolutely. I mean, I do really like long hair on dudes, so that's partially my fault.
I
But also,
mean,
that's crazy.
you put it this way, you're going to have to get used to this new look. So, like, he doesn't go back. Um,
So the chances of me ever simping for Thor are 0 then, because if I was going to, it would have already happened.
I mean, I don't know. There could be something that happens that
Is he on your
switches it.
prediction list? Because I really don't
No,
think I'm going to at this time.
he's not.
Okay,
But
well
it's like,
then.
you know, I never say never thing. But he wasn't on my predictions. No.
I don't think there's much that they could do to revive it, especially now that I've seen him like long hair and short hair,
Hmm.
and much prefer the long hair.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I don't dislike either look, but I think that they did it one because Chris Hemsworth probably prefers to not have to wear a wig all the time, um, and two, to go along with the tonal shift. I think that they wanted to, which makes
give
sense,
him a new
visually
look.
redesign the character as well.
Yeah, I get it.
So, you know, is what it is.
Alrighty, well, how do I want to tackle this? Okay. Well, we talked about the most important character to the film, Korg.
Mm.
Let's talk about Hulk, just because I think that the whole like storyline is interesting. So basically, we see that at the what movie was that even? that we saw him?
Age of Ultron.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So we saw him at Age of Ultron. So it's been quite some time since we've seen him or heard of him. We didn't know where he was. Nobody knew where he was. And they mentioned that they didn't know where he was, where they were,
Mm-hmm.
where he was. Yeah, I said that right.
Mm-hmm.
Um and so now we know that he like got on that ship, went into like the super secret mode, somehow fell in one of those portal things and landed on wherever this random place is.
Mm-hmm.
That's like somehow just like the garbage disposal for the universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe how much they said anus in this. I just remembered that. um so I thought that was really I was this something that they was this one of the things that they had planned in advance, like hey, he's going to be showing up like here, or it's just like hey, he's going to be showing up later and we don't know where. Do you know how much they had planned like this
Well, I
hint
mean,
in
no. I mean,
advance?
there's no way that at no point have we known what they're planning. Like they aren't that granular in saying these characters will show up here.
No, I don't mean like they say it ahead of time, but afterwards, were there any like interviews or anything where it's like, yeah, this is like what we had planned for the character? Do you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean, but no. The answer is no.
Okay, sad. Um, I thought this was interesting for Hulk to show up here. I liked that part of the plot. I also liked his little story arc in the film, which is interesting to have a giant green monster in a Thor film.
Mm.
Um,
Two powerhouses.
yeah. Um, so that they could form the Revengers.
They could, yeah.
And he
And also,
totally go ahead.
just the fact that in terms of character development for Hulk, that he stayed as Hulk the entire time.
Yeah.
Like Bruce was speaking of something, you know, you watching Us, if you go back in Jordan Peele's filmography, back to Get Out,
I've seen that.
hence why I'm referencing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bruce was like in the sunken place, you know, for 2 years, or somebody else was driving Hulk, which is rough. Which is like that's why as soon as Hulk changes back to Bruce, Bruce is like, "How's Sokovia? Did we win?" It's like, well, that's literally the last thing he remembers. Like it was like a split second ago for him, and then Thor's like, that was like 2 years ago. He's like, what? I've been Hulk for 2 years? So that's pretty messed up. And then, you know, Bruce says in the film, he's hesitant to turn into Hulk again because he says if he turns into Hulk again, he might never turn back.
Yeah, and we don't see him turn back in this film.
And
so
we don't see him turn back.
So I guess we'll see. Guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Watch them never reference it again. That would be funny.
That would be funny, but yeah. And Hulk is like talking now.
Yeah, that's true.
He wasn't really. I mean, he said like puny god in Avengers, but like outside of that, he couldn't have a conversation, and now he can. And they justified it by saying that because he had been Hulk permanently, consistently for 2 years, he essentially was like a toddler, you know, like had like basic vocabulary skills.
Yeah.
But he's never, before then, he's never been Hulk long enough. Hulk has never been Hulk long enough to learn how to talk.
I think it'd be, hopefully they get more into the depth of like the psychology of like how Hulk works. Because I think that would be interesting.
The dichotomy between Bruce and
Yeah,
Hulk.
because so I think this is just weirdly specific because of like what I've been reading recently. So I've been reading two web novels things and two separate ones about like almost split personalities. Both of them have like both of the ones that I'm reading are basically the same thing where there's two people in one person in like one body essentially, and they do it in different ways. Where like one of them is because like basically he's gay and he doesn't want to be gay, so his like alternate personality like allows him to be versus
Right.
not kind of thing. So like they handle it in different ways and why they're split and stuff like that. And so I'd be interested to understand like how the psychology of Hulk works and like why he doesn't remember things, even though like it doesn't seem like it's a split personality moment, but obviously it has to be. So
I mean, it's like Jekyll and Hyde, isn't it? It's like a very timid, quaint.
never read or watched or anything with that. So
I mean, but you know the concept of Jekyll and Hyde.
I've heard it, but I've never.
Dr. Jekyll is a quaint, like, well, doctor who is very compassionate and, you know, caring and whatnot. And then there's an alter ego that comes out at random that is Mr. Hyde, that is abusive and aggressive and kills people and has weird amounts of strength.
Yeah, so the thing that like the science that made Hulk is that specific because that's supposed to just be like to create like a superhuman slash soldier,
Well,
right?
canonically, they were specifically trying to replicate the serum that made Steve Rogers.
Right.
Yeah.
So then what would cause I'm trying like it for it's sorry, I'm trying to like form my question. I'm having a hard time like connecting the science of like, oh, they're trying to make somebody strong, but then that person is like they accidentally like split his personality. Like or is
Yeah.
it just that like because did the science split his personality or is it because like he can't deal with the violence and anger of Hulk and so he like lets his brain kind of handle it the way it's going to?
I mean, there are so many iterations of Hulk in the comics that there's different
Answers.
takes on the character that
Okay.
could be close to either of the things you're suggesting. I mean, it's never been clarified or fully explained. I mean, obviously, the stuff that happened in the Incredible Hulk film is canon. Obviously, it's a different actor playing Hulk now, but like those things happened. So, you know, he wasn't taking a serum. He was accidentally exposed to the radiation, which altered his DNA, and therefore you could extrapolate from that it warped his psychology somehow, and therefore like the id, I don't know how much psychology you know, but like the id, the deep stuff, primordial, like caveman-y instinct stuff that most people keep buried, came to the surface and sort of like became an entity in and of itself that lived within Banner. So like all of the negative, aggressive stuff, which is like the id things, the stuff you would do if there weren't laws and, you know, common decency and morals and stuff like that. I think that's the closest thing. That's like the typical through line for most Hulk things, that it's just the deeper, darker parts of everybody that even if you don't want to acknowledge, you have, but we never act on. It's like that is the suppression. It's like why Bruce in Avengers is saying like the secret is that he's always angry. That's the only way that he can in any way remain who he is as Bruce.
Yeah, see, I think the part that really threw me off with this film, and it's like why my brain has kind of gone on this spiral, is him saying that he doesn't remember when he's Hulk. Because before, it like in the previous films, it seemed like he did understand what was happening and did remember. Or at least that was my impression, and I didn't realize that he wasn't like cognizant of like I understood that he wasn't necessarily in control of his actions, but I thought he was at least cognizant of what was happening, like when he turned back to Bruce Banner.
No,
But this is saying that he doesn't.
no, because I mean, like in the rampage that he went on in Ultron when he got messed up by Scarlet Witch by Wanda, He woke up as Bruce in whilst they were flying back or whatever. He was like, what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
So like he is obviously not in control, but he think of it as a severance thing, basically.
Okay.
Like your innie has no idea what your outie does, and your outie has no idea what your innie does. That makes no sense if you haven't seen the show. Obviously, you've seen the show. I'm talking to the audience, but like that's the way to view it. That they
Okay.
are one and the same, but they have completely separate emotions, personas, memories, everything. So like
Okay.
Hulk doesn't carry the knowledge or the experience that Bruce has either. It goes both ways.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, um, thank you for dealing with my random questions, as always.
It's fine.
um, all right. So who else do we have? We have I don't even know her name. The Valkyrie. I don't even know if do they say her name?
That is just her name,
Oh,
Valkyrie.
that's weird. All right. Well, um,
That
I liked her
technically it's,
character.
it's technically not right. Like she technically does have a name,
Yeah.
but like she's just called Valkyrie.
Yeah. I liked her. I thought she was a good character. I thought the actress did well. I didn't love the weird romance thing. I don't think that Thor has to have a crush on every woman that walks ever. But what do I know? I'm just
Interesting.
a silly woman.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never really picked up on any kind of romantic thing between the two of them.
What?
Obviously,
It
there's the
felt so
one section.
overt.
No, I wouldn't say so.
Huh. Interesting.
Um, to me, anyway. Um, Obviously, there's the bit where they both leap back onto the ship and they're like almost bumping into each other. Um, and to be fair, I think the intention was that they designed the character or this iteration of the comic character to be a love interest, but they kind of like retroactively walked that back quite a lot. Um,
Yeah, so
like I,
there were moments where she was like it seemed like Loki was interested in her, and there were moments that like it seemed like Thor was interested in her, and she wasn't interested necessarily in any of them besides that one moment. No, sorry, two moments, because like I feel like the "oh, we'll come back alive" thing, that felt like a little bit flirty to me as well. Um
mm,
so I think like two moments where she like kind of flirted back but not really. It was just just like casual flirting. You know what I mean? But it felt like Thor was more like cuz he kept acting like a bumbling idiot around her. Like when she would come in, he would start like over explaining things, over talking, was really clumsy, stuff like that. That's like kind of how I like extrapolated like the whole like cuz that like he kind of is a bumbling idiot, but it was like a different kind of bumbling idiot from his normal Thor brand. And like it would
mm,
shift when she was in the scene versus not, at least in my opinion. Um, and yeah, so I was just kind of irritated with that, like because every time there's been like a main female character besides his mom, which thank God that wasn't a problem. Besides his mom, it feels like he's like trying to flirt with them.
yeah, I never got that read. Um, I think obviously it might not necessarily be that the film does a particularly good job if ideas can be extrapolated in various directions. But my read was always that the Valkyrie, as Thor suggests when he realizes that's what she is, she's a Valkyrie. It's that they are like warriors of legend to him,
Mhm.
and she makes he is intimidated by her, and therefore is acting up, which like I know that I can see, like I'm going through interactions. If you go in with the idea that he is like a, playboy flirting kind of thing with her, I can get that read from it, but I never got that vibe. Anytime I've seen this film, it's always more been like a kind of respect that is also founded in feeling inadequate in comparison, and therefore trying to buff up his own ego and bravado around her to make him seem more like an equal.
Okay. I mean, I do definitely prefer that read on it. Like, I think if that was what my feelings were while I was watching, I think I would have much preferred that. But unfortunately, that's not really what I took away from it. Not to say that you're right or I'm right or anything, but just
the reason, sorry, but the reason that I also, because it's worth pointing out, even if it's not overtly mentioned in the film, but like it's pretty heavily implied that she is at the very least bisexual. Like, Loki triggers the flashback of when the Valkyries were facing off against Hela, and it's like very clearly shown in a shot that this Valkyrie, was pretty dead set on protecting one other specific Valkyrie, which they're all female, and is like heartbroken in that diorama that she gets impaled with a sword. So, and like, I'm technically breaking the current canon as it exists, but Tessa Thompson, the actress, has said that the character is bisexual. And
yeah, and just to clarify, I don't have any problems with the character
no.
herself. I just have problems with the like. I'm just having a hard time that there's like not a ton of like females that exist not as a love interest and just exist.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that Valkyrie is absolutely one of those people.
Okay. Well, then
Because
I will look
there
forward
is
to seeing her
no,
more.
there's no kiss, there's no. I'm not saying that there has to be for it to be a romantic thing, but I think that the core fundamentals of her character is that she is someone dealing with PTSD and alcoholism, and she, to me anyway, my read doesn't express any interest whatsoever in Thor.
I would agree with that outside the very end of the film. But again, my problem being Thor, not her. But
sure.
Yeah. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But yeah, that was my read on it. Sorry, my mom just messaged. She's going on a cruise. Anyways, so the who else do I want to talk about? I think it's also worth talking about Thor, obviously. Hate his his new look, but we already talked about that. Other than that, I do kind of like the direction that they're taking his character. I definitely did like his character before. I didn't have any problem with it, and I don't think I would have had a problem if he had continued in that manner. Obviously, I'm very far removed from the conversation of like, oh, Thor's like whatever, blah blah blah, this isn't working kind of thing. I thought it worked for me, but I'm also okay with his character becoming or them allowing his character to change and shift and get a little bit more experience and depth in his personality.
Yeah, I mean, Hemsworth himself had said that he was getting bored of playing Thor the way that he was. So it kind of like culminated perfectly that the right director came along and the right tone was set in the writing, and we get to see Hemsworth do new stuff as Thor in this film, and some people think it doesn't feel like Thor as much, and others are just sort of like, well, it was fun and it was a good time and it works. Like,
feels like a natural shift of his personality, in my opinion.
yeah, and like, he gets the makeover, the change in tone, he loses Mjolnir, you know,
which is messed up.
and loses an eye by the end of the film. Gets his
I don't
eye
think I've
cut
ever
out.
seen anything with him like missing an eye, so that kind of surprised me.
You must have just been very selective, or very lucky, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking stuff up. It's just
Yeah. Um, so yeah, he like it's essentially like a literal deconstruction of him as a character, like almost stripping away everything he's had up to this point, and building back up. Like, spoilers: Asgard's also gone now.
mm-hmm.
Well, technically, Asgard is a people, not a place.
People. Wow.
So Asgard lives on. Where? Who knows? Well,
On
apparently Thor
Earth.
says Earth.
They're gonna go to where his dad said this is, this is home.
Stop. Yes. No. Shush. I'm not saying you're right, but hush.
That's what he said in the film.
Well, okay, you're extrapolating things that aren't like overtly comment. It's a fair assessment to surmise potentially. Yes.
This is some like in depth like English class.
No,
Like
it's not.
that was
It's not.
very
No.
surface level.
Oh, all right. Yeah. No, I think it's weird that there is a version of Thor that can work that doesn't have the hammer, because the hammer feels so intrinsically linked to Thor, just
Yeah,
as a name.
it does.
But it doesn't really feel like anything is missing necessarily from him at the end of the film. As a character, obviously he has a lot missing.
Yeah.
But in terms of like us as a viewer,
He's missing his emotional partner.
what Mjolnir was his emotional partner.
Yeah, according.
He's got nothing to pull him off now.
Yeah.
So sad.
I mean, I understood his confusion because he's like trying to explain how he flies with a freaking hammer. And he's
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
Somebody tried to verbally explain that to me too. I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think Thor is served well in this film. I actually think Thor is one of the most interesting characters in the franchise, but it's not like surface level stuff. You have to kind of dig deep into like what's actually happened to him as a character.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets really interesting that where so much bad stuff happens to him, the film itself and him as a character turn to comedy, far more than anything prior.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's interesting stuff to pick apart there potentially as we move forward. You know.
Yeah, fair enough. Let me see. Okay, so just to kind of there's a couple other things that I wanted to just touch on super quickly. So one, I did not like the whole thing with Odin, like the way that they just like, okay, let me backtrack. Loved the moment with Doctor Strange, loved all of that. That was 11 out of 10 moment for me. Seeing him being so familiar and comfortable using his magic was amazing. Loved
Mm-hmm.
it. Past that, where they go to Odin and he's like, "Oh, I'm actually dead right now as we speak. Bye." Did not enjoy that. I thought that was I don't want to say like silly because it's not a silly moment, but it's like it feels like they just killed like this huge like major character in like no time, and they didn't even allow it to be like an emotional moment because it was just like, "Oh, he's dead.
Mm.
Bye." We got to get on with the film, you guys. We got stuff to do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but it's probably like a perfect amalgamation of they didn't want to pay Anthony Hopkins anymore. Anthony Hopkins didn't want to be part of this anymore, and going back to the whole a lot of bad things happening to Thor very quickly and it being a comedy, I feel like they were trying to sweep it under the rug, intentionally so. It's like that's a thing that's happened, onto the next. I think that they did that by design to um, put us more in line with where Thor would be at that point in time, emotionally and like psychologically, because it came out of nowhere for him as well, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and like as his dad is dying, he then finds out that he has a sister, and the sister is the goddess of death and is trying to kill them. Um, so it's like I don't know. I think that that has obviously differing degrees of how well it works for people. It's very subjective, but like I get what they were going for, even if it didn't work completely for me.
Okay. I think they definitely could have had the same moment and done it better, but that's okay. I just realized before, actually, we'll go to my quick point and then we'll go to Loki because we haven't talked about Loki enough yet. I just wanted to say this Ragnarok kind of sucked. I don't know if it's just because I played God of War Ragnarok last year and I've seen like a crazy Ragnarok, but like this Ragnarok, like they didn't hit like any of the points that are normally like this is what Ragnarok is. And I get that they don't have to, but also like feels like they could have done a lot more.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have made sense with the story they were telling, you know, because it's
Right.
the whole point is almost every iteration of Ragnarok is people trying to prevent it, but it being inevitable. And the point of this film is that they realize that they actually need to cause it.
Hmm.
Like Thor and Loki are the catalyst that actually get it going.
Yeah, I get that, but also there are not I don't have an opposition to that point. I'm just like where was the world serpent? Where is like any of the other pieces that's supposed to happen?
I mean, sure, but they have none of that has been introduced in anything prior to this as part of that world on Asgard or elsewhere. And that is a
Mhm.
hell of a lot of like lore mythology stuff to dump on people in a film that just isn't actually really about that stuff.
Yeah,
Like
that's fair.
Ragnarok, it's Ragnarok is a means to an end in this
Yeah,
film as
but
opposed
all
to
I'm
the actual
saying is
central
I'm
premise.
just saying it's like Ragnarok light, you know? Like
Sure, but then like it depends.
that's all
That
I'm
depends on
saying.
how much you get hung up on the Ragnarok word part of it.
I'm
You know,
hung up
because
on it.
technically the thing that Ragnarok is still happened. Surtur still destroyed Asgard.
I'm still caught up on it.
That's fine.
Okay.
You're allowed to be.
Okay, last thing. Okay, I Loki was very attractive in this film,
Mm.
as always. Remains at the top of my simplest. This solidified his position
Hmm.
at the top of my simplest. Um, they had this one look. He didn't keep the look for very long, but he had this one look where he like kind of had his hair like not pulled up, but they had like some sort of like clips or like a headband or something in his hair that like kind of partially pulled his hair back, and I was like living for it. I was like, oh, yes, eating this up. And that's just me simping. As far as his actual character, I thought he had some good moments. He wasn't there a lot. Um, like he wasn't. I feel like he didn't have like a ton in this film. He had like a lot of major moments, but not like a lot of those smaller side moments. Which I get it. It's a Thor film. Fine. I'm just pointing it out. The moment that I really, really didn't like, that was partially Thor, partially him, was like the whole thing where they like said mean stuff and then like immediately were like, sorry, I said those things. Usually when they have that kind of moment in like a TV show or a movie, they like give it at least a beat. Like they let the words sit for a second and then they say sorry. It just felt like so immediate and awkward. Like I just didn't like that moment. And I know that's nitpicky.
Which section?
It's like in the middle where they start yelling at each other and he's like, this is all your fault. And they like fight and then like they sit down next to each other and he's like, sorry, I said those things. Thor says that.
Are you not thinking of when Thor and Hulk fight in his bedroom?
Oh, I am thinking of that. You're right. You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. It was Hulk. I really did.
I mean, still fair point in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they were trying to play it for laughs of just like how petty the argument was. And they're like,
Yeah,
it's just
but
fame.
it still would have been funny if they had left it. Like they just didn't give it time to sit.
Sure.
Let the mean words marinate.
So now you have no complaints about Loki whatsoever.
No, I needed more Loki in the film just because he's really attractive.
Yeah. Well, him and Thor are buddies now.
They're not. I know better than that.
Well, I mean, more so than they have been previously. You know?
I mean,
they lost their dad.
I think that Loki's just impressed that he caught him. And that will wear off quickly and Loki will go do his own thing very shortly again. And I'm not saying he's going to like turn into like a supervillain or anything again. I think he just has his own things.
Well, he certainly, as he was rushing to go put Surtur's crown in the fire, he did stop and look at the Tesseract.
What was that thing called? Okay, yeah, the Tesseract. Thank you.
He was like, "Oh, I've had that before.
Yeah,
could have that again."
Yeah, I guarantee he grabbed
it. He didn't. Well, he didn't. He didn't show that he took it. Didn't show that he took it, did it?
Well, that doesn't mean that he didn't take it.
Well, I suppose not, but like, he probably would have had like one of the post credits be like, "Oh, look what's under my cape." Oh.
That sounds weirdly sexual.
Only if you take it.
Listen, it's Loki. What do you want from me?
Nothing.
I can't be helped. Again, long hair. My two weaknesses, long hair and white hair. If Loki had white hair, I would be dead. Like, I would simply pass away.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do we have to say? Do you have anything to say about Loki? Anything else?
No, I mean, you know, he's more Loki.
Okay.
Which is a good thing.
Through line. We saw a big ship at the end in the post credits. Really big ship. That is like a big ship. Like big, capital big BIG.
What's that all about?
Yeah. What is that all about?
Who knows?
It could be the Guardians, but I don't think they would have. I don't think they don't feel like big ship people. You know?
That is a big ship for like 5 people.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they couldn't have stolen it temporarily.
I mean, no, you're correct. You are correct.
But it is big ship.
It is a big ship.
Yeah. Any other through line? He mentions the Infinity Stones briefly because he said he was looking for them.
Yes. Which is what he he buggered off to do at the end of Age of Ultron. He was like, "I'm going to go investigate this more." So he was having a little look around, see what's happening. Wonder if anything's ever going to come of those Infinity Stones. You know, seems like
very shortly.
Spread,
I don't know how many movies we have left. Actually, we have none left, huh? Until they'll show up. What's the next one?
That's a good question.
Is it Endgame?
No, Christ, no, we're nowhere near Endgame yet. It is Black Panther.
Thank God.
What do you mean, thank God?
Because I don't want to have to deal with any of the Avenger films that come up next.
Well, you're going to have to.
Infinity War, this is the one I was thinking of. Oh, I was
mean,
right. It's 2 away. I was thinking of Infinity War, not Endgame.
Yeah.
So we may see something about the stones in Black Panther, but maybe probably not. And then we'll for sure see something about it in Infinity War.
I personally think that the fact that the Infinity word is in there, just a coincidence.
And then after that, then we have another Ant-Man movie, which okay, it's fine.
Well, you say another, it's just the second one. That we've only had one.
Yeah. So if we've had one, this would be another one.
Well, I mean, yes, but the way you phrase it makes it sound like there's been multiple.
There's been too many. I'm just kidding.
Ant-Man is
really
like
loved
the top of your list.
I know. I really loved the first one. Hey, it's not
You're
the
like,
top. It's like 4.
This is my favorite thing. No more, please. What sense does that
Okay,
make?
wait. I'll accept it if they have that crew in it again.
Oh, I know where that one's ranking then.
Oh God. Okay. Okay. Cool. So that's next. Is there any through lines that I missed?
I mean, there's plenty of characters you haven't discussed, but like
Anybody important?
I mean, Hela's pretty important.
Not really.
I mean,
She's
she's
kind
like
of a
the
throwaway character.
main villain, Thor's
She
sister,
felt very throwaway.
goddess of death. Pretty important. Yeah.
I did like her power though. Her magic was pretty cool.
And she looked like rock and roll, which is dope.
Her headpiece was awful.
What are you on about?
Her headpiece was awful.
She could like just whoosh, and then it showed up. It's like so spiky.
That's fine. That's fine. But I hated it. I hated the little spikies, but I did like her outfit.
Everyone's allowed to be wrong, you know? It's okay.
Do we have anything to say about Hela? She's a big character. You're like going on about this. What do you have to say about her? Because I don't have anything.
Well, I mean, she's, you know, the idea that Thor has a sister in general is a big character moment for him. And Loki, technically, but Thor because it's actually blood. And the moment that he finds out he has a sister, his dad dies, and then his sister is trying to kill him, and he has to kill his sister tangentially to save everyone. But by doing so, he also has to destroy
we don't even know if she's dead.
He's known. Well, I mean, we
don't see her die.
Smashed in by Surtur's sword, as Asgard implied.
Yeah, and we didn't see her die, so she could just be floating in space.
Along with Fenrir, you know? Fenrir is just floating.
Okay, that was really messed up, though, because Fenrir was cute.
I mean, he wasn't. He was like the antithesis of cute. He was a big snarling zombie dog. That's not a cute thing.
He was cute.
I wish Hulk could like pile drived him into the ground a bit more before throwing him off the side, you know?
So he could be alive.
What, Fenrir?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you know, Hela was all about reanimating things. He's technically already died, so
yeah, exactly.
If he's still got the magic in him, he could just be floating around as a zombie dog forever out there.
In space, zombie dogs in space.
And Hela is on his back riding him, you know, galloping through space, which isn't going to work because there's no friction or forward momentum, unless they like pull themselves off a piece of debris. Well, I mean, she's not that powerful. Let's be honest. She can do a lot of things, but she can't move forward.
She's more powerful than Thor.
She is. She destroyed Mjolnir with her hand.
Well, to be fair, Thor never tried to do that.
But why would he?
So we don't know about that. He may have been able to destroy Mjolnir.
Well, I mean, maybe. because it's revealed that Mjolnir was not the thing that was giving him his power all along. He's not as Odin said post-mortem, you know, are you Thor, god of hammers? No, he's not. He's Thor, god of thunder. Which also doesn't quite make sense because thunder is the noise that actually follows the lightning. So it's
but Thor and thunder sound better.
Thor
than
could
Thor
just
and
make. So technically, if we're being like scientifically accurate, Thor should just be able to make really loud clapping sounds. But I suppose that's
because he's so good at twerking.
I dread to think what the thumbnail for this video is going to be. Jesus.
Thor twerking across the universe.
I will actively reject any proposition of that kind of thing. I will not be associated with that kind of vulgar.
How else is he clapping? He's holding a hammer.
Yeah, but without his hammer, because again, the point is proven he doesn't need the hammer. He's got both hands free. Yeah, I mean, also
that one up perfectly.
Hela, she reveals that the whole premise of Asgard as like a benevolent, helpful civilization is completely false.
I can't believe he ever believed it in the first place.
I mean, sure, but if it goes, it's all about the environment in which someone is raised, right? If you are if you are raised in a bubble, you don't know the truth outside the bubble. So
what happens if you are a bubble?
Then you'll pop.
I meant, do you know the inside of the bubble or the outside of the bubble? But you know that's also true.
Yeah. and then like we don't need to talk about him, but Jeff Goldblum is in this film.
Yeah, he is. I kind of liked his character.
I mean, he's just playing Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, he is. But
which
like,
is what he always does. But that's fun.
I thought he was good. He's like, guys, we were so good at this revolution. He's not wrong that he like technically was part of the revolution.
Yeah, like a revolution needs someone to overthrow. So
yeah, so he was really contributing.
Yeah, interesting fact about him, because we're briefly talking about him that you will not know if you don't know the behind the scenes stuff. Canonically, his character in this film is the brother of the Collector from the Guardians.
Can I be so honest with you? If you were to say to me, Brianna, if you could guess who his sibling is, who would you guess? That would be my guess.
I mean, they are both
seem very similar.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah.
Can
you imagine what their parents were like to have produced those offspring?
I dread to think.
They're just normal.
Yeah. Disappointing though, because I think that like with that knowledge, it would be really interesting and quite fun. I think to see the two characters together.
So he doesn't come back at all.
Like sibling rivalry.
Did they kill him?
No, I mean we just saw him.
So he could technically be alive.
Yeah. Well, here's hoping, because I would actually like to see them have a bit of a sibling rivalry in the future.
Okay, cool. Any other characters that you wanted to talk about?
I mean, not really. Like, I'll give a shout out to Karl Urban. You know, gotta love him. Scourge is a bit of a nothing character.
Oh, we didn't talk about Heimdall being attractive.
I mean, yeah, but that again just sort of that goes without saying. Really, he doesn't do much in the film, does he?
No, he doesn't. But he's very attractive.
Yeah, he is.
He swings his sword around.
Yeah. Big old sword.
Has long hair.
He does. Yeah, and for some reason they decided to make Karl Urban look not attractive, even though he's a very attractive man. But I appreciated the humor that he brought.
He's not attractive.
That's just categorically incorrect.
I'm actually really upset about this. Oh, he looks kind of attractive in this photo.
Yeah, because if you'll remember, he has long hair in Lord of the Rings.
Hold on. Maybe if I see him in Lord of the Rings.
Carl Urban, Lord of the Rings. Look it up. You'll know who he is instantly.
Oh.
Yeah, see, now the tune's changing, hasn't it? Yes.
To be honest with you,
Don't lie. Just so you
no,
can
like I'm looking at several pictures just to give it a fair go. I do like his hair, but he's not anybody that I would ever be like. It would just be like, oh yeah, he's he's attractive, like he's
attractive,
cute.
yeah, which is what
He's
I said.
cute.
So
but he's not like
you
he's not like
just said the
he's
word
not like
attractive.
But I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it.
You
If
did
okay,
just say the word attractive,
actually I
which
do
is
know how
all
to
I
explain
said.
it. If I was being nice in real life and somebody was like, "Hey, do you know this dude? What do you think of him?" I'd be like, "Yeah, he's fine." You know, like it's like one of your friends. It's like, "Hey, I think I really like this guy. What do you think about him?" Which my opinion shouldn't matter in this fictional universe where my fictional friend is.
Yeah.
But then I'd be like, "Yeah, he's fine."
Yeah.
But if somebody was like, "Hey, do you want to date him? Do you think he's attractive?" I'd be like, "No."
Yeah. But I mean, I'm still, regardless of what you say, going to take the fact that you actually did say the word attractive.
It's because you're really difficult.
Which reinforces my point that Carl Urban is attractive.
You're welcome to have a crush on him without me having a crush on him.
That's fine, but
we don't have to have crushes on the same people.
Call a spade a spade. An attractive man is an attractive man, you know?
We don't have to have crushes on the same people. It's okay.
Anyway, I also appreciated Matt Damon making a little cameo. Playing Loki. In the stage play at the beginning of the film.
Oh, I didn't even realize that was him.
Yeah, Matt Damon played Loki. Luke Hemsworth, Chris's brother, playing Thor. And then, of course,
he did look familiar.
The legendary Sam Neill playing Odin.
I don't know who that is. Well done.
That's disappointing. There's no way you haven't seen a film with Sam Neill. You've seen Jurassic Park, right?
I haven't. I haven't seen any of them. Okay, I'm looking. I mean, I've seen Thor, so yeah, I technically have seen something with him.
He's an incredibly prolific actor, very well known. His face is instantly recognizable to, I guess I have to clarify, most people.
I need to watch Peaky Blinders, but I haven't. He is in that though.
Yeah, it's just a nice.
Oh, he
nice
was in.
Funny scene.
Oh my god, he was in the Guardians of Gahul movie. He was Almir. Oh my god.
Yeah, of course, that's the one film of his filmography that you would latch on to.
Did you not watch Guardians of Gahul? I mean, read Guardians of Gahul?
No.
It was so good. I need to go back and read those again. Did you read Warriors?
No.
What? That's crazy. Okay, I'm now like into like 1998, and I haven't seen anything of his.
We'll just leave it there and say you haven't seen anything of his.
Yeah, I haven't. Sorry, guys. Oh well. Oh my god, he's been acting since 1971, and I did look at his face, and I don't recognize him. So, anyways, anybody else that you wanted to talk about?
No, that's it.
Okay. Okay, ranking. Let's do mine first because we do yours first usually. I'm gonna put it at. I'm trying to remember how much I liked Civil War. I know I liked it. Let's do this. Let's put it in between these two because I'm not 100% sure. So I'm gonna put it at spot 7 for me. So surrounded. So it's like Ant-Man Homecoming or Ant-Man. Yeah, no, Ant-Man Homecoming, Civil War, then Ragnarok, then Age of Ultron. I think. It gets extra points because it's like more magic based, and I know it's like still like space based, but like magic.
Okay.
Fantasy. Okay, where do you want me to read from your list?
Just go from the top and just keep going.
Okay, Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Winter Soldier, Age of Ultron, Doctor Strange, Avengers, Homecoming, Guardians of the Galaxy 1, Thor, Ant-Man, Iron Man 3, Iron Man 1, the first Avenger, Iron Man 2, and Hulk, and then Thor Dark World.
So what was beneath Doctor Strange?
The Avengers, the first one.
I'll put it between those two.
All right. You're putting it above Spider-Man?
Yeah.
You have bad opinions. I didn't think that before, but now I do.
I mean, you've got Ant-Man like in second place or something, which is...
No, it's in fourth place.
Still, that's too high.
No, it's not. It's so funny.
Okay.
Okay. We'll let you guys go. Before we do, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us today. Special shout out to our current patrons. We have Bucky Blue, Amon, Fabulous Brianna, Brianna's Bomb, Brianna's brother, Brianna's wife, Nikolai at Night, Cypher Primus, Brendan Mars, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, Mimi J, The Snack Network, David Hotright, Dave Hart, the Xbox Expansion Pass, Alpaca Tom, and Lee Navarro. Where can people find you?
Anywhere and everywhere at Sam Heaney, Heaney.
You find me at Fabulous Brianna, Fabulist Breanna, even though nobody asked. I hope you guys have a lovely 2 weeks, and we will be watching Black Panther next, which is one of the very few films that I almost watched independent of like doing this. I've always wanted to watch it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
Have a good time. Bye, guys.
See you.